Sports Fantasies with Miller and McCarty.
Here we go. Welcome to Sports Fantasies with Miller and McCarty, the preview show or test show. Take 3 already, early in the night.
Don't worry about that.
So we're kind of redoing. What was it?
It's our first video here. There's going to be some technical issues. That's a given.
Yeah, we are redoing the show, kind of changing our format up, going to make it short, sweet, to the point, with video, because what people want is more of my face.
Yes, yeah, you gotta give the people what they want. They want us, Miller. They want us.
Yeah, no, I was actually saying that they wanted more of your face. I was being sarcastic about my own. That's fine. What we're going to do tonight is we're going to go through the divisional round of the playoffs. We're going to do a little daily fantasy start, sit, sleeper type thing. And then we're going to go into odds are. And then we're going to get out of here. So we'll jump right into the divisional round. Saturday brings us the first 2 games, both 9.5-point spreads. The first game is Houston traveling to Baltimore. Where are you going to this game, sir?
So I think this is going to be a close one. I like the way the Texans have looked, but if I've got to pick one or the other straight up, give me the Ravens. 6th against the pass. I know Stroud has been playing really well, but the Ravens have good pass defense. Texans almost dead last. So again, while I can see this being close, I'd have to go lean the veteran quarterback right now and with Lamar in Baltimore.
And of course, I disagree with you right out of the gate here. I am going Stroud. When it comes to these matchups, I really look at the quarterbacks, and I typically, most times, I'm going to take the quarterback I like more. I think Stroud overall, even though a rookie, is a better overall quarterback than Lamar. Lamar can run great. But again, I revert back to 2018 when he won the MVP. Tennessee goes into Baltimore after Baltimore has the bye and beats them. And I believe that year they had a top run defense, and Derrick Henry still went in and ran all over them. I also believe that although Baltimore's pass defense is good, Houston can run the ball. And if Houston runs the ball, I think that changes the Baltimore defense a little bit, and they have to play differently. And it's the playoffs. Anything can happen in the playoffs. I think we're going to see playoff Lamar, though, not the MVP guy that you saw most of the year. He struggles in the playoffs most often because he reverts back to that one read and run, and teams are ready for that run in the playoffs more times than not.
Fair enough. Should be a fun game, no matter what.
Yeah, I think it'll be a fun game. It's probably the game I'll miss, though, because I'm pretty sure my son will have indoor soccer that night, and I will be there. But I'll get home in time for the second game, which leads us to San Francisco, Green Bay, where San Francisco is a 9.5-point favorite. Green Bay coming to San Francisco. What do you like here?
A little of the same. I probably think the Packers will keep it closer than most. But again, at the end of the day, the Niners 3rd against the run. Not a great. Niners pass defense, middle of the pack, but passing yards per game. But probably a lot of that is teams just throwing the ball second half, trying to catch up. I do certainly like the way the Packers looked against Dallas. But a little too much McCaffrey in this game, so give me the Niners.
I can't disagree with much you said. I know in the last game I said the first thing I do is look at the quarterbacks, and I think long-term I like Love more than I like Purdy. But I think in this game, with the supporting cast they both have, the Packers are very young. The Niners are experienced. They've been here before. Currently, they're pretty healthy. So I think the Niners win this game. I think it ends up being about 10, 14 points. I think the Packers can play close throughout the game, but I think at the end of the day, I think the Niners pull away a little bit and put them away and advance to the next round. That brings us into Sunday's games. We got 2 games on Sunday. The first one is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers traveling into Detroit, where Detroit is a 6.5-point favorite. Where are you going here?
Well, I've got to take one upset this weekend, and even though I've been a Bucs hater kind of all year, give me the Bucs on the road to beat the Lions. I do think they have a decent shot at an upset here. Baker's been playing pretty well. I don't know that they want to get into a shootout, with the Lions, but I think the Bucs defense is good enough to keep this game in the 20s and they sneak out a win.
I disagree here. I believe the Lions win this game. I don't think they'll blow out the Bucs by any stretch of imagination. But again, if I go back to my first rule, I look at the quarterbacks. I like Jared Goff more. I like Baker. Baker has been steady this year. He's done better than he has. He's shown growth and improvement. But I think at the end of the day, I think Goff and his playmakers around him and being at home gives them an advantage. So, unlike you, I do like Detroit getting the win here and advancing to go to San Francisco next week. And that brings us to the finale of the weekend, the one that all of us care about the most. And I don't even think it's just a Bills fan or a Chiefs fan thing. I think most of America probably is the most excited about this game. It's the smallest point spread of the weekend. The Bills are currently a 2.5-point favorite. First time the Mahomes-led Chiefs come into Buffalo. What are you seeing for this game, sir?
Well, look, I don't even have any stats on this one. This is a gut feeling that the Bills just roll against KC. Probably won't happen. Probably will end up being the closest game of the weekend. But something tells me Mahomes' first playoff game on the road, first time coming to Buffalo. I mean, Buffalo has just been rolling. I do think if there's a year to get KC, it's this one. They have been a little down, yet here they are in the second round of the playoffs like every other year. But look, I would have give me Bills minus 17 in this one. I think they roll.
I like the Bills at home too. We've been begging for this to happen, which is the reason I am a little nervous about the game, because not only us, but the players, all the fans have wanted Mahomes to have to come to Buffalo. Well, now we get him to come to Buffalo twice in the same year, because Kansas City's coming to Buffalo later in 2024, the next season, and here they are in the second round of the playoffs. I believe the Bills win this game, but I believe it's close. I wouldn't be surprised if it's lower scoring than you'd anticipate for this game, though. I could see the Bills relying on the run early to try to open up the pass and slow down that pass rush from KC. And I could see KC doing the same thing. I could see them going a lot of run and screen early on in the game to try to slow down the Buffalo pass rush. Now, maybe that means in the second half it does end up being a shootout, but the weather will play a part too, although right now it's just supposed to be cold. I don't think there's anything supposed to be too crazy there, although Buffalo is currently getting pounded with snow once again. The big question today was, are the Bills players able to get to practice, because there was a travel ban back in the Orchard Park area. But they're considered essential workers. I'm not sure how that works, so they were able to drive and get to practice. So
yeah, they don't need it. They practiced enough. They're ready. They're ready to roll.
They're pretty banged up right now too. So,
well, why don't you cry about it?
Especially that defense. All right, so now we're going to do something a little different. It's something we don't typically talk about a lot on the show, but it's the daily fantasy sports. Of course, it's a big thing. I do it a little bit here and there, especially around playoff time when our leagues are all over. But I'm not exactly sure how you wanted to approach this, because all it said on my agenda was daily fantasy sports.
Yeah, go wherever.
So why don't you kick us off here? I'll follow your lead.
Sure. I'm just going to be over here going crazy. So daily fantasy sports. I looked at it from a couple of maybe more sleeper type players. You could take a little lower price when it comes to your daily fantasy. You talked about the Houston run game earlier. I don't mind for a little bit. If you don't want to spend the money on McCaffrey, go Singletary. He appears to have taken over that backfield. There's not a whole lot of Pierce getting touches. So I expect to have him to have decent amount of yardage, probably a couple of passes and a chance to get into the end zone. And then just sticking with that same game, the wide receiver that led the wide receiver snap count last week with 73% of snaps being on the field is actually John Mechie. Led all Texans wide receivers. They seem to be getting him more involved. Nico is still my guy there, but Mechie you can get next to nothing, and he's going to see a lot of snaps and chance for some plays.
This guy went all out. You went a lot more depth for this than I did. I was going to mention some guys that I like and guys that stay away from in that first game, in the Texans game. I like Singletary a lot, as you mentioned. I like Stroud a decent amount, even though you mentioned the Baltimore defense is the 6th-ranked defense against the pass. Guys I'd stay away from this game, I'd probably stay away from Lamar Jackson. I think when it comes to the eight quarterbacks that are available this week, I'd have him in the 6 or 7 spot.
Okay.
So I would stay away from Lamar. I would also stay away from both defense special teams in this game. If I guess if you're desperate, you go Baltimore because they've looked better throughout the season. I think Justin Tucker's a must start, depending on how much money you have left over for your kicker. Typically, when I do this, I spend no money on my defense kicker or tight end, and I spend all my money elsewhere. But
yeah. Well, who'd you have? Anybody next game? The Packers 49ers?
Packers 49ers, you mentioned McCaffrey quite a bit, and obviously he's a must start almost every week, but he does cost a lot of money, so he does hurt your ability to have leftover cap. Running back's another position, as you know, I don't spend a lot of money on, but a lot of people are going to have McCaffrey in their lineup. Of course, I like to start Debo a lot in these daily fantasy games. There are a lot of weeks when he actually is cheaper, just because he's kind of a roller coaster at times where he'll go up and down or he'll get injured for a game, then his price drops. So I like Debo quite a bit. On the Packers side, I'm probably going to stay away from most Packers in this game. If you want a cheaper option at quarterback, Love might not be a bad play for you if you want to spend that money elsewhere. I think as far as the receivers go, it's a little tough because the Packers have, 2 or 3 receivers who are really good, but it's a question of which one's going to be good this week.
Yeah, I just mentioned a couple here. Like you said, McCaffrey's pretty pricey, but he's going to get things done. But if I'm my wide receiver, I like the best here is Ayuk. Just kind of most weeks he seems to get you 6-7 catches, potential for 100 yards. He seems to be a favorite target through the air. Purdy's, I think he's pretty safe. Packers side, I think Aaron Jones will be a hot play with his 3 touchdowns last week, but that's going to be a tough task versus the Niners D. So I'd be looking from the Packers side at maybe Jaden Reed. I think he has a decent game. Of course, Christian Watson isn't even playable right now. Like you said, you don't know. It could be Dobbs. It could be Wicks. Could be Watson. But I think Reed is the most consistent at the moment. So I'd take that.
I might actually take Watson as a flyer. Like if it's a situation where I spend a lot of money and I only have, close to the minimum left, because I'm assuming Watson's price right now is a lot lower than the other guys, just because he hasn't been playing and he hasn't done much in the games he has played in. So
yeah, I think he had 1 catch last week for 9 yards.
Yeah,
Bucks Lions. Gibbs got out touched last week by Montgomery, and so he's a little bit lower right now. But I have no problem putting Gibbs into the lineup. I think prior to that, he had been getting more touches than Montgomery. I think it goes back that way this week, and he's a safe play to get you some catches and get some yards on the ground, possibly a touchdown. And then on the Bucks side, the lowest priced quarterback was Baker, and so if you want to save your quarterback money and to go after McCaffrey, somebody like that, then I'm okay taking Baker, even like you said, over a guy like Lamar that's going to be a little bit pricier, or Purdy, Love, etc.
Yeah, if I'm starting a quarterback in this game, it's going to be Goff, because I'm assuming he's also pretty cheap in comparison to the other 7 guys that are available. I actually like Montgomery a little more than Gibbs. I think this is the time of year where the Lions are going to kind of lean on Montgomery a little bit because of his veteran leadership. He missed some time during regular season too, so he's probably a little fresher than Gibbs. And then, of course, I like St. Brown quite a bit, and then you got Laporta. I like a lot of Lions. I don't think Evans is a bad play. Baker and him seem to do just fine, although Evans has had a couple of really disappointing games this year. But outside of that, there's probably not much I'm starting from this game outside of the Lions side, which is another reason why I lean Lions in this game.
All right, Chiefs Bills outside the obvious, Allen and Mahomes.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm not starting Mahomes either, but that's only because if I do one of these, I'm starting Allen. So I like Shakir a lot. I think Shakir gets catches. I think Kincaid gets catches. The problem is it could be Knox if it's not Kincaid, because if the Chiefs really want to focus on Kincaid and try to take him away, I believe that opens up Knox. Knox proved last week he's still a reliable receiver. So on the Chiefs side, I probably stay away from Kelsey, because I think if I'm the Bills, I'm trying to find a way to just focus on Kelsey in that passing game, make Rice and the others beat you, because if I'm the Bills, I'm not letting Travis Kelsey beat me, even if you got to double team him. And that might be tough to do depending on who's healthy and who's not. Because like I said, the Bills have a bunch of guys on the injured list right now. So we'll see what happens. I like Pacheco because the Bills are susceptible against the run at times, especially to give up a big run. So Pacheco could easily break off a 50 or 60 yarder and score a touchdown, and that's going to lead to a decent amount of points for you.
Fair enough. Yeah, we both like Rashee Rice. I think he's been a safe play every week. So if you want to save, like, you don't want to go out and get the St. Browns of the world with the Lions, you want to save on receiver, I think Rice is a pretty good bet for a decent amount of yards, possible touchdown. On the Bills side, I'm okay taking a flyer on James Cook here. I think they get him more involved this week, get him some more touches out of the backfield. And again, always a chance for a touchdown there. But I like him to get a good 15 to 18 touches this week.
Yeah, I could definitely see that happening. They seemed to kind of leave him alone last week. Then this week they released Fournette, who didn't even play last week. I was a little surprised by that. I mean, he is playoff money after all. You kept him on your roster for, 8 weeks basically, and you played him once.
Yeah.
So a little surprising.
As a kick returner of all things.
So, I mean, is what it is, but I'm excited about the weekend. I'm hoping that we see a couple of good games, but I think that Bills-Chiefs game ends up being good, although I hope I'm wrong, and I hope that you're right.
Me too.
I hope the Bills go out there and just whoop them.
All right, little odds are.
Yeah, absolutely. As far as odds are go, why don't you kick us off? You said you wanted to do the 4 games here, right? Not necessarily things we like and don't like, just the 4 games overall. So go ahead. I think we've talked about this a little bit, but let's give the fans what they want. They want more. Here we are. So we have the Ravens minus 9.5 at home against the Texans.
Yeah, so we talked about I'd take the Texans with the points there. I do think it's closer than 9.5. And to your point, the money line is plus 334. I'm okay with that as well. And actually, for a little bonus there, I would even take the Texans plus 9.5 and parlay that with the over, which is 43.5, because I think they hit that over.
Yeah, I've already told you I believe the Texans win this game straight up. You want to take the over, that's fine. I think the game hits over. So, honestly, if I'm putting pickles on this game, I'm taking the money line and the over. So
Makes sense.
All right.
Green Bay,
San Francisco. San Francisco minus 9.5. I'm taking the Niners, and I'm giving the 9.5.
Okay.
And I would, if you want a little extra here, I would go under the 50.5.
Okay. Yeah, I would take the points just because it's a lot. So I'd give me Green Bay plus 9.5, although I wouldn't be super confident in that one. Much more confident in the Texans plus 9.5 than Green Bay.
We talked about the Bucks and Lions, of course, too. This game's at 6.5. You said that you're taking the Bucks outright. I would take Detroit. I'd give the 6.5, and I would also take the over here, the 48.5. I could see this game getting a little shootout-ish at points, and I think there could be some points put up on the board.
All right.
Nothing from you except for the Bucks are winning.
Well, no. If I was putting pickles, I would take the points with it. I wouldn't go. The money line's plus 213, but I think I'd feel a lot safer. Tampa Bay plus 6.5. I think that's a decent spread to cover.
Yeah, and the last one's Buffalo minus 2.5. The over under is 45. I would take the Bills, and I'm leaning the under, although I know that is very possible. It could be over 45 at the half. I understand that. But I just have a feeling with it being a little colder, and I think both these teams are going to try to almost force each other to stop the run. That way it opens up more of the passing game. I can see this game staying under the 45. I'm not betting the under confidently. I'm betting the Bills minus 2.5 very confidently, but I'm not betting the under confidently.
Yeah, I'd take the minus 2.5, although I'm also wearing all Bills attire, so take that for what it's worth. But I'm curious to see where the Vegas, the big money there goes. If it's KC money line or if it's on the Bills. I'm not. I mean, I think if you're betting, if you feel like KC's going to win, you're just going the money line on this, and you're throwing away the points. But
yeah, absolutely. I mean, when it's under a field goal, I think that's usually the safer route to go. Right? It's just go the money line. You're maximizing your pickles typically there as well. So,
yeah, did you do some player props?
Player props. I did not, but if you have some, go ahead and say them, and I will come up with some while you're talking.
I'll just give them to you then. So, again, I think I went one from each game here. So let's start in reverse. The Bills game, give me Josh Allen over 235 passing yards. I think that's certainly doable. The Lions Bucks, Laporta's over under receiving yards is 34.5. I like the over on that for Laporta all day. Nico Collins, I talked about liking him earlier in that Ravens-Texans game. So just a anytime touchdown for Nico is plus 160, and he comes close about every week to scoring a touchdown from Stroud. So I like the value there at plus 160. And then the last one, Aaron Jones against the Niners. I don't think he's going to get anything on the ground, and because of that, I think he's going to get a couple touches receiving out of the backfield. So I'm going to take the over 16.5 receiving yards for Aaron Jones.
All right. I'll give you a couple of anytime touchdown scorers. I'm just going to go in the order that I pulled these up on the app. So
this guy's going on the fly. What a pro.
The first one was the Bills game, and it's Josh Allen as an anytime scorer plus 600. I like that a lot. He's been scoring a lot of those 1 yard rushes with the snow plow or the push or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
My next one, David Montgomery, is currently plus 700 to score a touchdown. I told you I like Montgomery a little more than Gibbs, and I think down on that goal line, he's more apt to get some touches as opposed to Gibbs. And then I also, in the Packers-Niners game, you mentioned this guy, Brandon Ayuk, at anytime scorers plus 115. So I like that a lot. And I didn't get to the fourth game. The Texans-Ravens. Here, I'll do it right on the fly. Amazing video right here. Give me Mark Andrews at plus 115 to score a touchdown.
Is he back? Well, that's interesting.
He is, yes.
I was going to say it's not a good bet if he's out, but if he's back, I don't hate it.
He was cleared to return to practice 2 weeks ago, and I believe he is on pace to score or to play. So
fair enough. Well, good first show, brother.
I mean, not too bad. It's 24 minutes, so we went just over. I'm all right with that.
Yeah, and I think we've been talking, and basically, the format moving forward, like you said, we'll do it on here. We're going to make it a little bit shorter and probably more focused, fantasy focused, especially talking, we're getting to the off season of football. So we'll start getting, mock drafts out there and rankings and strategy. And I'm sure we'll touch on baseball and all things fantasy, but just a little bit more focused segments on particular topics instead of kind of all over the place. That's going to bring the people in, Miller. They're going to be flocking.
Right. We're going to go from our moms and LTG listening to the show to millions and millions.
Or at least like their family members, like aunts and uncles tuning in.
Like maybe we go to like 24 viewers an episode, and then we'll spike at 55 for like a holiday special or something.
All right. Well, let's get out of here. I don't know when we'll be back, but it'll be soon.
Yeah, I'd say if we're going fantasy focused and we're going to start with baseball, I think that we have to kind of come in right around spring training time. As camp start opening, I think we have to do at least our first baseball show right around then, which is probably about a month from now.
Fair enough. All right. We're out of here.
All right. Until next time.
Bye. Thank you for listening to Sports Fantasies with Miller and McCarty. And be sure to catch future shows wherever you stream.
Bye-bye now.